So I'm returning to a favourite spot of mine overlooking the valley of Strath Creek here in central Victoria. I've come here quite a few times shooting landscapes both at dawn and dusk and in the middle of the day. And with today's sort of volatile, cloudy weather, I think there's a good chance I might pick up a couple of interesting photos with this 35mm lens. I've actually gotten some of my favourite photos ever, I think, in this area. For some reason, I seem to be drawn to rolling hills. I don't know why. I just love the way the light plays on the rolling green farmland here in central Victoria and the rugged, gnarly gum trees that we have around here. We don't have those beautiful oaks that you get in the UK and other parts of Europe, but we have our own kind of beautiful old trees, I guess. But it's the hills that I love. And watching the occasional shaft of sunlight break through the clouds and strike these hills is something that I enjoy enormously. One thing that I really do like about shooting with the 50 and, well, any lens that's got a wide maximum aperture is, in landscapes, is being able to blur out the background. Now that's easy with a long lens, of course, because it compresses everything and it has a tendency to blur out the background easily. With a wide lens, less so. But when the wide lens is nice and fast and has a very wide maximum aperture like this 35 of 1.8, well then you can still shoot wide and still blur out the background, which is kind of nice. So now this kind of scene here is what I would typically want to use a long lens on, because I like to pluck out smaller scenes. Trouble with shooting a 35 or any prime lens is if you want to reframe your subject, you've got to move your legs. And as you can see, I'm outside a farm property here and I can't really jump the fence and start wandering around. That would be unreasonable and would probably raise the ire of the local owner, who may well be watching me from their farmhouse down in the valley right now thinking, what's that idiot doing up at my farm gate with a camera, with two cameras? Yeah, I might have a look over here. Not very inspiring, I've got to say. If there are a few shafts of light coming down through those clouds, like I had at other times here, that'd be different, but today it's a bit, well, it's completely overcast. But still, I'm enjoying the challenge. I've got some water there on the lens. There we go. Maybe I should just take photos of my van. I do like my van. Now that I've gone camping with my son in it, I like it even more. Why are you doing that? Why are you doing that? That's the trouble with trying to be a photographer and a videographer. You got to consider different things. It gets confusing, especially to my addled 54-year-old brain. Not adult, addled. Oh, by the way, I quit drinking, so I'm definitely not addled from that. Yeah, I quit drinking, gee, it must be a month ago. It's funny because we went up to the Snow on the weekend. The hotel we stayed at was lovely, and they had a beautiful restaurant there. And because I hadn't been drinking for about a month, I thought, well, I'm going to have a glass of wine here. And so I did, and it was very nice. And then I had one more glass of wine. And this is over the course of a 3-hour dinner. 2 glasses of red wine. And 2 standard glasses of red wine, not my versions of a glass, but a restaurant's version of a glass. And it was funny because I actually had a hangover the next morning. And I haven't had a hangover in years and years. So that just proves that my body has already gotten used to not drinking, such that when I do drink, 2 is enough to give me a hangover. And maybe I'll go for a walk down there. Oh, actually, that's quite beautiful. Let me have a look at that. God, the light's flat. Oh, why are you on high speed? What are you doing on high speed like that? You're still on high speed. What the hell's wrong with you? Oh, because of that. There we go. That's better. Maybe this is where I can, oh yeah, use my shallow depth of field to good effect. You know, I was watching one of Mark Denny's videos last night. He's talking about how to avoid making boring landscape photos. One of those things was to get down low. Like he said, we all see the world through our two eyes at eye level. And the quickest way to change how something looks is get down low. So this is a good thing about these kinds of outings. You just stuff around and experiment with no pressure. You just enjoy yourself. And no one has to see your crap photos. You can take as many crap photos as you like. Better than nothing. Better than a slap on the face with a dead fish, as my grandfather would say. All right, let's try this bloody tree, shall we? So the obvious shot to me is to slap the tree in the dead center of the frame and take a bloody photo. I'm going to try my old trick here of getting really low. This is one thing that I think wide angles are really good for in landscapes is you might not be able to get the wide vista that you want with, say, a 16mm. You can't pluck out elements of a scene like you can with 200mm or 400mm. But one thing you can do, I reckon, with a lens like this, is just get down really low and blur out your foreground and lead it into whatever your subject is in the mid or background, probably the midground, or vice versa. All right, let's see what I can do here. I'll put this under here. Oh yeah, I kind of like this. So I'm going f1.8, so I can really blur out this grass in the foreground. Yes, that I like. All right, so what do I think of this? Canon's RF 35mm lens, or indeed any 35mm lens. This isn't particularly about this lens, it's about any 35mm lens. Well, I didn't expect to like it for landscapes, but the Nifty 50 is a great walk-around lens, but it can be a little bit narrow sometimes. And I enjoy the natural perspective that the 50 gives, and I love the shallow depth of field because of the f1.8 or f1.2 if you're rich. But sometimes it would be nice to have a little bit more reach on the sides. And that's what the 35 does, is it gives you a very similar, I think almost a more realistic perspective to replicate what we see with our eyes. You know, in terms of the field of view as well as the perspective, even better than the 50. But it, you know, because it gives you that extra width on the sides, you can use it for quite a few more things. Now, over the weekend, I shot some portraits of my son with the Fujifilm X100V, which has a 23mm lens, which is equivalent to a 35 on a full-frame sensor. And I love those shots. I love the natural human sort of perspective that that lens gives. So, you know, this is the same. For shooting landscapes, obviously it's not as versatile as a zoom, but I think it's more versatile than a 50 as a walk-around lens, especially when you get down very low, you get up very close to your subject or to something that you can blur out in the foreground. I think for shooting wider vistas, well, it's going to be determined very much by how far away you are from your subject. And how much of your subject you want to get in shot, or how much of it you're able to get in shot. It might not be wide enough for that, or it might not be narrow enough for that. I like to shoot a lot of landscapes with a long lens, as you know. But it definitely has its place. I think it's a bit like kind of replicating the experience you get with the X100, is if you just stick this on, and you force yourself to walk towards your subject or back from it or frame it differently or consider different compositions other than the obvious. For example, you know, walking in close to a part of the scene because you can't get back far enough to get all of it in. So instead doing the reverse and walking in closer and getting elements of that scene. I think this can be a lot of fun. And the beauty of it is, it's a very sharp lens. And with this one in particular, it's got, as you will have noticed, a switch to focus manually, and it's got image stabilization, which the good old nifty 50 doesn't have. And in order to use manual focus on that, you've got to go into the menus in the camera to tell it to focus manually, and that's a pain in the bum. So, you know, for shooting those sort of really close-up subjects with this, bear in mind this is also a macro lens, being able to get in really close to your subject and then fine-tune your focus manually, with this, I think it's great. I was really in two minds about buying this lens. The only reason I bought it was because I wanted a lens that wasn't as wide as the Insta360 Go 2s for filming in the car. I think it's been great. I like the fact that it doesn't show off, you know, my whole fat guts and everything when I'm in the car like the Insta360 does. I don't have to crop in to get rid of all of that. So anyway, shooting with a 35mm. I think it's pretty good. You know, I did a video a while ago on just walking around with a 50, and I got a lot of pleasure out of doing that. You know, if you can walk around and try different subjects, I think this is a bloody good lens for that. Good focal length for that. So you should consider it as maybe an alternative to the nifty 50. Anyway, I'm gonna go. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you're not subscribed, well then subscribe. Or not, whatever floats your boat. All right, see ya. Before we part ways, just want to let you know that I've got a few items that I've decided I don't need anymore. Now I could sell these on eBay, but as I've done in the past, I tend to prefer to give them away to people who could really use them. So I have a few things that I don't really need anymore. One of them is the DJI Pocket 2. I have one of those that I'm really not using anymore. There's a little bit of a crack on the bottom where the tripod mount is, but I super glued that and it's fine. It doesn't really affect it at all. It's a great little camera, and I know a lot of vloggers actually use that camera. It shoots in 4K. It really is good. So if you've been subscribed to my channel for a while and you know who you are, and I'll know who you are, and you could use something like the DJI Pocket 2. I also have the extendable handle for it, the sort of selfie controller stick thing for it. The wide lens that comes with it, you know, all the bits and pieces that come with it. So if you are one of the guys who followed me for quite a long time and you would find that useful, I don't care where you live in the world. I know a lot of my subscribers live in the US and the UK. I'd be more than happy to send it to you. Just let me know in the comments below if that's something that you'd like. And I've got some other things that I'm going to give away too. Now, I'm not doing this to try and generate interest in my channel. Otherwise, I'd mention it at the start. I'd put it in the thumbnail or something like that. So I just want to give these things away to thank the people who have supported me during this journey. Other things that I have coming up are camera bags. I've got, I think, 6 or 7 camera bags, and I don't need all of them. I'm going to keep a couple of them, maybe 3, but I'm going to give a few away as well. I've also got, now this might interest some of you, I've also got the Rode Video Mic Go 2. I've just recently replaced that with the DJI mic, which I'm wearing right now. If that interests you, if that's something that you'd like, and again, you've been subscribed for a while, and I'll know who you are, then please let me know, and I'll be more than happy to send that to you as well, that kit. Unlike others, I've had no problems with mine. I had a couple of problems with the first one, but my daughter's taken that. But the second one, no problems. So if you want that, you can have it. I do appreciate those of you who have followed me for a while and who have commented on my videos and engaged with the rest of the viewers. I like that. I really enjoy that part of being a YouTuber. I enjoy the conversations. 99.9% of the people that I engage with or that engage with my channel are interesting, intelligent, thoughtful people, which is great because that's the kind of people that that I'm hoping to attract, that I would choose to hang out with face to face. And there are quite a few of you guys who I would love to go and hang out with and go out and do photography with sometime in the future. But anyway, stick your hand up if either of those things interest you, preferably one of those each per person. not one person for all of it. Alrighty, that's it for me. Thanks for hanging out with me. If you like this video, do that, give it a thumbs up, I'd appreciate it. And if you're not subscribed, then subscribe. Or not, it's up to you. And see you in the next video. Bye for now.